Hello and welcome back to the channel. So then, the Gambling Low Ebbs Series, I am going to get them all back online. I had been thinking of ways to do this for a few months anyway, before what happened with my dad, but now in light of the fact that my dad has gone, I have decided to just put them back up as they are, because in a way, this series is sort of a tribute to my dad, because in the simplest possible terms, I would be dead many times over were it not for my dad and his indomitable spirit and the fact that he just never gave up on me. There's part 2 in particular, I think, really leans into that, but the others as well, and they're all interconnected in that regard as well, I think, to an extent. So now, with my dad no longer being with us, the fact that I am only alive because my dad saved me, like I say, in the simplest possible terms, my dad saved my life many times when my addiction was at its worst, and he has now gone. But the only reason that I am still here anyway is because of him. So it's a slightly strange sort of tribute in a way, but if you think about it, what greater tribute is there than to say I would literally be dead were it not for the fact that this person, in this case my dad, refused to give up and refused to give up hope that I could turn my life around. So I will be re-uploading all 5 of the Gambling Low Ebbs videos, and then also the Q&A that I did for Gambling Low Ebbs Part 5 over the next sort of 2 or 3 weeks, whatever it may be. And they will just go up in their original forms for better or for worse. Now, I think in the main, 2, 3, 4 and 5 are actually kind of okay. It's number 1 there, the first one, that was really rough and ready. I didn't plan for that one at all. The channel had been going for a few months at that point, so there were many videos on the channel already, and it was kind of doing okay. You know, I was getting subscribers, I was getting views. And one evening, it just popped into my head to try and make something different, and the kind of video that I had never seen about gambling before. And it was, I think, back in 2018, it was when the whole streamer thing really seemed to be taking off, and there was just a whole load of stuff on YouTube and Twitch or whatever else where it was just all about how great gambling is, and, you know, fancy intros and these larger-than-life characters and slots spinning at massive stakes and all the rest of it. And I thought, that's a load of fucking bollocks for anyone who's ever been involved in gambling and been close to gambling and been really into gambling. I mean, let's be honest, it only exists in the first place so that the house, if you will, can take money off us, the players. And if you've really got into that world, you're going to have got your ass kicked a few times. So I had these memories swirling around in my head of these sort of really low points in my life when gambling and the addiction to fruit machines had really taken me to these very low points. And the one that I had in my head, the one that was front and sort of foremost in my head, was that episode up in York, where I ended up essentially trashing my mate's student house. And one evening, I just thought, fuck it, I'm going to see if I can do this. I just got my headset on, sat down in a dark room, and it just went bleh. And I had, unlike, you know, sort of other videos on the channel, and particularly more so as the channel went on, where I really planned out in my head and I kind of had like a run order and a sort of pseudo script kind of in my mind. This one was just completely off the cuff. It was completely unplanned. It was completely unscripted. And frankly, at the end of it all, I thought that what I had was utterly and completely unusable, because I was stumbling over my words and I was getting, you know, even like years wrong and all that sort of thing. It was a disjointed, incoherent mess. And I thought, well, you're not going to use that for anything. So I just put the sort of raw Bandicam footage onto a data drive and left it there for, God, must have been 2 or 3 months, maybe even longer than that. I don't know, but I just was aware that it was still available, if you will, on this data drive. And one night, like I say, some 2, 3, 4 months, whatever it was, after I originally recorded it, I just found myself in the right headspace again to think, you know what? I'm going to go and see if I can actually turn that into a video. So I got my headset on, or my headphones rather, in this occasion, because I wasn't recording anything. Took this utter bomb site of a Bandicam recording, threw it into Sony Vegas movie studio to see if I could turn it into something coherent. And it took all night. It took a full evening and then into the night. But at the end of it, I'd actually managed to sort of chop and trim and splice something that actually ran vaguely like a coherent story, where I'd got things completely wrong. Like there were some times where I'd got like the decade completely wrong, and I had to record new audio for that and overdub it onto the actual recording. So I think it sticks out like a sore thumb. If you can't notice it, then I guess I've vaguely done my job properly, but I think it's really obvious where that happens. But it did eventually come together into what I felt was a coherent story. And I thought, well, you know what? That's the kind of video that I haven't seen before. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but it certainly wasn't a million miles away from the kind of gambling content that seemed to be proliferating. That's the word I'm after there at the time. So I just put it online. Didn't have a clue, really, what the reception would be, if anyone would watch it, or what the comments would be, or what the reaction to it would be. But it was universally positive. Not just in the comments on the video, but over on sort of websites, over at Casino Meister. Desert Island Fruits, I think, was going at the time. I can't remember exactly where we were on the Fruit Machine emulation scene, but either way, it all just went really well. It was very, very well received. And it was kind of people saying, you know what, I've never seen a video like this before, Degsy. Cheers, thanks for putting up. That was the thing from people who had been addicts themselves and said, actually, you know what, that's kind of helpful. It's kind of helpful to hear somebody just talk honestly about how bad this shit can get. And from there, I would periodically do another one. It did take me a while to get through those 5, but in the end, I got through 5 of them. There is a 6 which never got made. I'm not saying it won't ever get made, but that would be a rough one to do. But certainly I got through 5 of them, and then I did a Q&A for the 5th one. So what I'm going to do here is get all 5 of those re-uploaded. Part 3 and Part 3 final there, I did rejig Part 3. Before I put it online. So it's Part 3 final was the one that was online. It's basically just a better version of Part 3, which never went online. 4, 5, and then again, like I say, now the Q&A for Part 5 there, that director's cut never went online either on the old channel. It is essentially a slightly better version of Q&A. That one there is the one that was on the old channel. I will just put up the director's cut because it is basically a slightly improved and tweaked version of that one. It just never seemed worth uploading it as its whole own thing, as it were. And it wasn't long after that I deleted the old channel anyway. So what we're going to re-upload is that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. So it's going to be 6 videos in total, which are 5 Gambling Low Ebbs and the Gambling Low Ebbs Part 5 Q&A. It sounds a bit wanky, that doesn't it? Ooh, the director's cut, my word. But it's just a slightly better version of the Part 5 Q&A. But yeah, Part 1, I think, is still scrappy and messy. I did the best job I could tidying it up, but I still, that one really does, I think, show its origins, which was basically just me sitting down in front of a microphone or with my headset on, in a darkened room and just doing a proper brain fart, basically. And then after the fact, trying to turn it into something coherent. 2, 3, 4, and 5 were more of the kind of new model where I had a proper idea of the story that I wanted to tell and the shape of it and what it would kind of sound like and what beats I wanted to hit before I actually started recording. Number 1 didn't have that, and that will be the one that's going up first. So just be aware that that one does have some rough edges on it, to say the least. I'm also not going to faff around with them in any way in terms of either snipping anything out or improving anything or adding anything in. They will just be the original videos that were on the channel. There are some improvements that I think I could make, but I think probably the best thing to do, and perhaps the most honest thing to do, is simply leave them as they were on the old channel. So they will be just going up in their complete, unedited, but also unchanged form, even where, looking back at them now, I can see, you know what, that could have been done better, that could have been done better, and so on and so forth. But I will just leave them as they were. So there you go. That I have always said, because quite a few people have asked me over the lifetime of the new channel and since I closed down the old channel, are you ever going to make the Gambling Low Ebbs videos available? And a few people did say to me, I was a little bit surprised, a few people did say to me privately, you know what, I watch those sometimes, you know, when things were getting bad with me, because I've still got a gambling issue, I would sometimes fire one of those videos up to try and get me in the headspace to remember why I shouldn't be gambling. And it was always my intention to make them available in some form, or by some means, maybe sort of privately or unlisted or something like that. But with what's happened with me dad, with losing me dad, I was like, you know what, fuck it. They can just go back up, because they are an honest recollection of a terrible, terrible period of my life. In the main now, we're talking 30 years ago or 30 plus years ago, in the case of the one which goes back furthest, which is part 4, which was September to December of 1992. This is ancient history now in many regards, but I think as much as anything, as much as you can move on from this stuff and live differently, I don't think if you've ever been addicted, you will ever forget it either. There was a book released recently, last month in fact, by Hadley Freeman about anorexia. I have bought the book. I have still yet to read it, because reading the interviews and the reviews, interviews with Hadley Freeman and the reviews of the book, it is clearly a study of a compulsion, and indeed anorexia contains what are considered to be many addictive and compulsive behaviours. And with the review in The Guardian here and the interview here, she says, and this is someone who has been free of it for many, many years, she says, "It still feels like an hourly miracle to be free of the cold and the hopelessness and the loneliness and the palpitations and the exhaustion and the exercising and the guilt. But even though I'm free of it, I will never forget it." And that, I think, is where I am with this stuff. Even though it was 30 years ago, it doesn't leave you. And by putting this back online, if I can even just help one person through a tricky time, which, like I said, I was slightly surprised by the number of people who messaged me privately to ask if there was some way that these videos could be made available to them again, because they found them helpful. Well, if I can do that and it helps one person, then it's worth it. Obviously, they're not fun. None of these videos are fun, with the possible exception of 4, which does have a slightly funny thing in it. But even then, when I was introducing part 4, I explained how actually, even though the kind of thing in this one is a little bit funny, the story around it is still pretty grinding and miserable. So do go into it with that knowledge. I'm not pitching these as any kind of funny tales, but I've got to the point now where I've made peace with them being online. And frankly, I think they should be, because the simple fact that I am stood here now, literally stood in front of my laptop in my office, speaking into this microphone, the only reason I am doing this is because of my dad, because I would have been dead fucking 5 or 10 times over 3 decades ago, but for the fact that he never gave up on me. So it is on that basis, as much as anything, that I've decided to just simply re-release, re-upload these videos as they were, completely unchanged, and make them publicly available. And in a silly sort of way, that is one of my tributes to my dad for saving my life so that I am still here, even though, sadly, he now is not. So what I'll do is get the first one uploaded probably in the next couple of days over the weekend, and then I will work my way through them from there. So thank you very much for watching. Do hope you've enjoyed this video. Blah, blah, blah. I'll catch up with you next time. But for now it is goodbye.